Adams of Adams Family Realty, here with more Adams Family Answers. Today's question is, how long will it take me to buy a home? The first thing we have to do is consider when we want to be in the new home, and then we work backwards from there. So you might not have a specific date by which you want to be in a new home. I wouldn't recommend picking a particular date, actually, but I would recommend narrowing it down to a month or two. And once you've determined those months, then I would work backwards, starting with the closing process. So the closing process takes about 30 to 45 days, and that's primarily dependent on the lender. If you're financing your purchase with a mortgage, the closing time frame is definitely going to be dependent on how quickly the lender thinks that they can close the loan. If you're purchasing with cash, then that is pretty irrelevant. A cash transaction can close as quickly as a couple of weeks. So you have a lot more flexibility with that, but for most of us, we're going to finance our purchases, and it'll take about 30 to 45 days. Prior to COVID, it was like 30 days was more of the standard for a lender to be able to close in, but now it's kind of all over the board, probably closer to 35 days as the average, maybe like an achievable time frame, but 45 days is used frequently right now as well. COVID kind of slowed things down with the appraisal time frame and title opinions. All that processing got slower and slower. So they were just so backed up with all the purchases going on. So it's changed a little since COVID, but I would say 35 days is something that is very achievable for most lenders. And some lenders can still do 30 days, but I like to be on the safe side and make sure that we give them enough time. So that's the closing process. Prior to that, you'll want to consider the looking process. Now this depends on two things: how long it takes to find a home and get under contract. It depends on, one, the person, because everybody has their own speed at which they process all the houses that they're looking at, and the second thing is the market. So the market sometimes offers more homes to choose from than it does at other times. So those are the two things that depend, or that indicate how long it should take to find a home. But I would recommend at minimum 2 months. So you have to kind of go through a few houses before you're able to be confident about whatever one it is that you know you really like. So it just takes a little practice and experience before you're able to choose that home. In order to do that, I would suggest 2 months at minimum. Some people can do it in a month. Some people can do it in even less time. They're fast decision makers. But it's a major decision, so I don't mind when people take their time and make a solid, confident decision. So that's important. So with that said, we've got basically a month minimum for the closing time frame, 2 months minimum for the looking time frame, and even on top of that, I would throw in some education time as well. So you're educating yourself right now, which is fabulous. I would say at least a couple weeks of education. Do your research, make sure you know what you're getting into. I really value that part of the process because I want to make sure that people know what the possibilities are, and they know what is happening before it all happens. So I would say a couple of weeks there. And with all that said, I would recommend you start looking for a home, or start the whole process, the education process, about 4 months at minimum before you're actually hoping to be in your new home or closed on your new purchase. So that leaves a couple weeks of education. That gives you 2 months of looking time, and that gives you a month to a month and a half of closing time. So all in all, 4 months. I think that's a fair lead time, I suppose, to get into your new home. If you have any questions, please let me know. Comment below. Reach out to me via email or text, phone, whatever you guys want to do. But I will be around. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!